Hello everyone, my name is Ben Scorpion, and welcome back to Destiny 2. So, as the weeks are winding down, we're starting to get closer to the end of the season, literally 2 weeks until the next season, so I would definitely recommend if there's anything, whether it's just the seasonal rank, seasonal challenges, story, gear, weapons, anything you think that might be a little bit more limited next season, I would start thinking about going for them, because honestly, thinking about it, most people, when a season ends, they don't go back to the old seasonal content until, like, that's the only thing they have left to do is collecting old seasonal gear. Now, aside from that, I haven't seen any boosters on login, which is unusual, although the last week of the season is typically a triple boosted, where Vanguard, Gambit, and Crucible will all be boosted reputation. Although, considering I didn't see a booster now, I would hedge a bet that Trials will be the boosted mode when that comes around this weekend. Now, aside from that, in terms of everything, going with the Vanguard to start everything off, we have, for the Nightfall, the Psyops Battleground Moon. Probably the toughest Nightfall this season, and one of the toughest of all time. Now, it is mostly Hive and everything, and of course there's the aspect of Savathun on it. That is a very annoying part of the thing. Modifiers for the Grandmaster, including all 3 Elemental Shields, Barrier and Unstoppable Champions, Arc Threat for incoming arc damage being boosted, so I would recommend multiple arc resists. Grandmaster modifiers extinguish so that when everyone dies, it is returned to orbit. Limited revives. Fire Pit for acolytes spawning fire pools when defeated. Chaff for no radar. The usual seasonal overcharge weaponry, as well as Arc Surge and Void Surge. Then overcharge machine guns as well. Now, this is an annoying thing currently. So if you actually visit Zavala, you will see that the current weapon is, of course, the BrayTech Osprey, which is the second time the Adept has been available this season. Now, while this weapon is not being left in the rotation, it will still be available next season, there's a very annoying thing in comparison. So we had Loaded Question back in a double Nightfall week. It was super easily farmed. It was on the easiest Nightfall of the season. Then BrayTech Osprey comes around, recently reintroduced, and while it has the potential to be one of the best damage dealers in the game with unique combinations like Impulse Amplifier and Cluster Bombs, it is only been available, I'm pretty sure, at least on the hardest Nightfall, which means that, well, aside from the people that do it very, very regularly and speed run this, but even still only do it at 20 minutes a run, it's really hard to actually try to get more than one roll of BrayTech Osprey. Like, the only reason that I got the one roll I did was, I think, because the team I was running managed to do Psyops Battleground on the Moon when the week came around, and it was just before the Conqueror node was up. But aside from my complaints on that note, nothing new in Gambit, aside from what few updates are coming to Gambit next season. And then with Crucible, we have Team Scorched and Supremacy currently available for our rotation matches in that regard. And like I said, because we didn't get any boosters and it doesn't tell us now, I have a feeling we have an active Trials booster up and coming. So, in terms of our seasonal rotations, and our weekly rotations, King's Fall is currently the weekly farming raid, which means, of course, all challenge modes are active, as well as Master Mode being re-enabled, with mobility-focused armor for Master Mode King's Fall. The current modifiers being, of course, Arc and Solar Shields, Master modifiers of usual raids, all 3 Elemental Champion due to Taken and Hive being present, the usual seasonal overcharge, Arc and Void Surge, and overcharge Sniper Rifle for King's Fall. And of course, because it is Master, that means you can get the Adept versions of these gear to drop. I don't recall if these are the enhanced, capable Adept gear, but that's still there. So anyone who needs to get their hands on Touch of Malice before whatever buff is coming to it soon, now is the time for that. But as well, in terms of getting ready for next season and everything, currently Grasp of Avarice is the weekly farming raid, which of course means that also we have Master Mode Grasp of Avarice for Artifice Armor, which is probably of all the dungeons that have Artifice Armor available, this is probably the easiest to actually farm on Master. And of course, its associated modifiers being all 3 Elemental Shields, Barrier and Overload enemies because of Fallen, Overcharge weaponry as seasonal, Arc and Void Surge, and Rocket Launchers. So it's really easy for Gallahorn to go off and all the associated rocket launchers with it to basically just farm it. Now, in terms of our raid rotations throughout the throughout the world, for Last Wish, we currently have the Witch Challenge, which I forget which one that is. Then on the Moon for Garden of Salvation, we have currently the Leftovers Challenge, which I believe is First Encounter. Then, all the way to Europa for Year 3, we have Deepstone Crypt of All Trades Challenge, which is the Third Encounter Challenge. basically everyone has to do each roll once. For Vault of Glass, currently it is Out of Its Way challenge, which if I recall is Templar challenge. Basically, you gotta keep them from teleporting. You have to do the quick farm burn method. For Savathun's Throne World and Vow of the Disciple, it is currently Swift Destruction, which is first encounter challenge. Basically, all the abominations in the first Unstoppable set, they all have to be killed relatively around the same time, so you have to prepare accordingly. And then going into Neomuna for Root of Nightmares, it is the All Hands challenge, which, if I recall, is actually Nezarec challenge. And of course, because Master Mode, there is strength-focused armor from this week of Root of Nightmares. The same usual modifiers, including Arc Surge, Void Surge, and Overcharged Shotgun. And it's hard to say what Adept is dropping, because I kind of never kept track of that past the first week, but there we go. And as well, the Ahimsa Park is currently Vex Incursion Zone, which also means that the Ordnance Annoying Partition is currently available. And on that same note, with the weekly farming mission, it is No Time Left, which is, I'm pretty sure, the second to last mission, or at least the one where I believe Rohan sacrifices himself with that annoying Colossus boss. But aside from that, in terms of stuff that changed throughout the world, of course, we still have seasonal updates. Now, Legend Defiant Battlegrounds, I, fun fact, learned that this rotates daily. So, I am actually going to stop addressing that even in the next updated season. So, these rotate on the daily cycle, so if you actually need to complete any specific one, just wait within a day or the next 2 days of resets, and you should be able to find the one you need. And then speaking of that as well, Salvage Legend, currently the setup is Hive enemies with Engineering, Ordnance Disposal, Site Reliability, as well as Ashradat, the Hive Knight, for the final boss. And I would also recommend that people run some deep dives and at least get access to the Wicked Implement Catalyst before this season ends, because otherwise, like I said, it's unlikely that people will go back and do old seasonal content for farming until it is the last thing left to do in a season before wrapping up. Now, speaking of seasonal stuff, I believe last week was week 10 or something like that, but pretty much we've been capped out on our challenges for a week, so we're going to be getting no more new ones of these. And pretty much most of these as well will all be leaving the rotation as soon as season ends. Previous season had some stay around just because they are associated with ranking of vendors and with associated consumables. But this season it worked a little bit different. It was more like triumphs that unlocked upgrades. So there won't be any of these sticking around next season to make sure you can finish out this season. So I would recommend that if there was anything in all of these challenges that people still needed to do, whether Salvage, Gambit, Crucible, Raid related to anything that you can do, I'd recommend you do it while you can, because otherwise you'll be missing out on a healthy chunk of experience and Bright Dust, just in case that's something you still need. Now, of course, Solstice of Heroes, that has passed, that has ended, so that is also something to no longer expect. Ever Store has been cleared out, and I will also cover that accordingly. But yeah, that's pretty much most of the world rotation in Destiny. Now, of course, at least according to alleged leaks, I'm sure you could look up, but supposedly the raid confirmed or the next season's raid has been confirmed before we learned anything about the season. I won't say more in case it would be a spoiler in case you actually wanted to remain blind, but going forward, I will be actually streaming, hopefully, a world's first attempt. I know my team probably very much underdog team, but we're going to be going for it. And if not, we're at least going for contest mode. And I will be taking the day off and going the whole weekend, hopefully, so stay tuned for that. Now, in terms of Banshee's gear, we have Lodbrok C, a high-impact frame auto rifle from Hake. Perpetual Motion Wellspring, odd combination, gives a nice little stat bump, and a ability regen, but at the same time, some decent barrel perks, but at the same time, it's hard for me to vouch for this one. I want to like it, but it's really hard to try. Then we also have another Nezarec's Whisper, which has been in Banshee store ever since the store has been around. Like, literally, I think they need to work on what can and can't spawn out of here, because Nezarec's Whisper has been there so much. Same with Ostringer. It's definitely seemed like everything from Season of the Hunted or Season of the Plunder or and not even Season of Chosen, actually, now that I think of it. But pretty much most of those gear sets just have not been a bit oppressive in the market. You also have Taipan, which is also craftable, also pretty solid linear fusion rifle, pretty solid option if you need something decent for damage, but still other things available are actually better. You have Glissando 47, which is the first of its kind, a Suros Strand Scout Rifle, which is on the same note, first of the Suros kind, but not the first precision strand one. Now, there is some interesting roles this one can spawn, and I am a fan of Suros Scouts and just the way they are, but at the same time, I don't know if this is anything meta-shifting just yet. Then in terms of regular store, we have a second Lod Brock, which is Perpetual Motion Target Lock, something I might vouch for a little bit more. Then we also have Legal Action 2, a Heating Up Rampage roll on the Pulse Rifle, which is something I would actually vouch for. I believe my roll on this is Surplus and all the range perks, but a pretty solid 2-burster if you can get some good rolls on it. Then Contingency Plan, Subsistence Frenzy, a pretty solid PvE roll, good options on range or stability, mag size or range as well, and just a range masterwork, which is actually kind of needed for a rapid fire scout rifle because they do have a lot shorter range in general than other scouts. Fioruta 59, which is a rapid fire sidearm from Suros, which is full auto and a pew pew. Now, Crucible based, I think there is a lot of recommendations out there, but I just can't get behind it nowadays. As much as I like to have fun with rapid fire sidearms, it's fun but not effective, if that makes sense. And then 2 grenade launchers, one that should be craftable, one that was craftable but was removed, if you didn't notice that about Marcillion. Solid roll on Typhon, pretty solid for damage in case you wanted a stasis grenade launcher specifically. And then Marcillion, Danger Zone, great for a little bit extra blast radius, but at the same time, a rapid fire frame grenade launcher is still pretty much at the bottom rung of effective heavy weapons. And wrapping everything up with the Ada shaders, we have Midnight Exigent, which is from Season 10, Backroom Scenes of the Worthy, which wasn't a bad looking set. It's a straight up black and yellow with some chrome, although if you liked, I believe, Gold Talons or Bumblebee from Years Round, it could have competition, but maybe not. And we also have the Mad Monk from Season 3, Season of the Warmind, which is pretty much a just carbon fiber look, although not black carbon fiber, mostly just brownish gray carbon fiber. And we also have the War Cult Endgame from Season 3, or Season 2, Season of Osiris, which is another one of those future War Cult shaders that doesn't look half bad, but at the same time probably looks better on weapons than it does armor just because of the color schemes. With that, that is everything reset-wise, and of course I will be covering Eververse, and I might as well just stick with 2 separate videos until seasons end. But, of course, new season starts. Keep an eye out for everything happening in terms of season launch, new gear, new videos regarding cosmetics, as well as some seasonal stuff, and, of course, the return of seasonal story videos. With that, my name is Matt Scorpion. I will see you in the next video.